The atmosphere changes the moment Zhang, Linghe and Tian Xiwei step onto the stage together. What had seemed like another glamorous public appearance suddenly feels different, charged with a kind of anticipation that is almost impossible to ignore. The lights sweep across the venue, cameras turn toward them, and thousands of eyes seem to follow every movement, every expression, every moment of silence between the two stars. For fans who have spent months watching their interactions and wondering whether there could be something deeper behind the chemistry they display in public, the tension feels almost overwhelming. And then comes the moment everyone is waiting for. A moment that appears to transform ordinary stage interaction into something far more emotional. Whether the scene represents an actual confirmation or simply a powerful moment that fans interpreted through the lens of their hopes and expectations, there is no denying the enormous reaction surrounding it. Zhang, Linghe and Tian Xiwei have already become two names capable of generating extraordinary attention whenever they appear together, but this particular moment carries an atmosphere that makes people stop, watch again, and ask themselves what exactly they just witnessed. The stage itself becomes part of the story. Bright lights illuminate their faces while the crowd reacts around them, creating an almost cinematic contrast between the enormous public attention and the small gestures happening between the two performers. Zhang Linghe maintains his composed presence, while Tian Xiwei brings the expressive energy that has made so many of her public appearances memorable. Yet it is not necessarily a dramatic gesture that captures attention. Sometimes it is the smallest movement, a glance that lasts slightly longer than expected, a smile that appears at precisely the right moment, or the way two people seem comfortable standing beside one another while an entire room watches them. These details can become enormous when millions of fans are already emotionally invested in the possibility of a special connection. Suddenly, every expression becomes something people want to analyze. Every pause seems meaningful. Every exchange becomes a potential clue. And that is exactly why the stage moment becomes so powerful. It does not need to be loud to create a storm. Sometimes silence can be louder than any announcement. For fans familiar with Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei, the fascination does not come from one isolated appearance. It comes from the accumulated history of seeing them associated with each other through projects, promotional moments, public events, interviews, and countless discussions across social media. Their chemistry has repeatedly encouraged viewers to imagine possibilities beyond what is publicly confirmed, and that creates a fascinating emotional dynamic. People begin noticing details that might otherwise disappear in a crowded event. The way one person reacts when the other speaks. The smile that appears when their names are mentioned together. The subtle shift in body language when they are standing close on stage. None of these details, by themselves, can prove a relationship, but together they can create an atmosphere that feels intensely personal to those watching. That distinction matters, because celebrity moments are often interpreted through emotion. Fans do not simply watch what happens. They experience it through everything they already believe, hope, and remember. Then the atmosphere seems to become even more intense. The cameras move closer, capturing expressions that might have gone unnoticed from a distance. The crowd becomes louder, and for a brief moment, it feels as though the entire venue is waiting for something. Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei remain under the spotlight, surrounded by the energy of an event that has suddenly become much more than a routine appearance. It is the kind of moment where even an ordinary interaction can feel extraordinary because everyone is watching for a sign. There is an almost electric curiosity in the air. Could this be the moment when the rumors finally receive an answer? Could the two stars actually say something that changes the conversation? Or is the excitement itself creating a story larger than what is truly happening? That uncertainty is what makes the moment so addictive. The closer people look, the more questions seem to appear. Imagine the reaction spreading across social media as clips begin circulating. One short video captures a glance. Another focuses on a smile. Another freezes a particular moment between them and places it under endless discussion. Within minutes, fans are replaying the same footage, slowing down certain moments, comparing expressions, and sharing emotional reactions. Some viewers see unmistakable chemistry. Others remain cautious, pointing out that public appearances are naturally full of carefully observed interactions and that friendliness between co-stars does not automatically mean romance. Both reactions can exist at the same time. That is part of what makes celebrity culture so emotionally complicated. A single stage moment can become a blank canvas onto which thousands of people project their own interpretations. For some, it becomes proof of a long-held belief. For others, it remains simply a beautiful interaction between two talented performers. The truth, unless Zhang, Linghe or Tian Xiwei personally and clearly confirm it through an official statement, belongs to them. But emotionally, the moment still carries enormous weight. There is something undeniably compelling about watching two people who have built such strong professional chemistry share a stage while the entire world seems to be asking whether there is something more behind their connection. The fascination is not simply about romance. It is also about trust, comfort, friendship, partnership, and the mysterious chemistry that sometimes develops between performers who understand each other's rhythm. Some connections are visible without needing to be explained. They appear in timing, in laughter, in the ease with which two people respond to each other. That kind of connection can be genuine without necessarily being romantic. Yet when two celebrities already have a huge fan following, even the smallest sign of closeness can become a major cultural moment. Zhang Linghe's presence adds another layer to the atmosphere. Known for his calm and composed public image, he often creates a contrast with more spontaneous moments around him. When he smiles naturally or reacts unexpectedly, those moments can stand out because they feel less rehearsed. Tian Xiwei, meanwhile, has a lively and expressive presence that can make stage interactions feel warm and energetic. Put those two personalities together, and it becomes easy to understand why audiences become fascinated by their dynamic. Their differences can create balance. One moment may feel playful, another quietly emotional, and another simply comfortable. The audience starts watching not just the event itself but the space between their reactions, searching for something that explains why their chemistry feels so captivating. There is also something powerful about the idea of a public stage becoming the setting for a deeply personal announcement. A stage is normally a place of performance. It is filled with lights, cameras, rehearsed schedules, and carefully organized appearances. The idea that something genuinely personal could suddenly emerge in such a public environment creates immediate emotional tension. It is the difference between something being performed and something being revealed. That distinction is exactly what makes fans so curious. If a moment appears spontaneous, people naturally wonder whether they have just witnessed something real. Yet appearances can be deceptive, and this is where responsible storytelling becomes important. A compelling moment does not automatically equal confirmation. A look does not automatically equal a confession. Chemistry does not automatically equal a relationship. What makes the story interesting is the mystery, not pretending that the mystery has already been solved. Still, the emotional reaction from fans can be completely genuine. People become attached to stories because stories give meaning to moments. They remember scenes, interviews, performances, and public appearances, building an emotional timeline in their minds. When a new moment seems to connect with everything that came before it, the reaction can be overwhelming. Suddenly, old clips are revisited. Previous interactions are viewed differently. Moments that once seemed ordinary begin to look significant. Fans ask whether they missed something. They wonder whether the signs were always there. They begin discussing whether the stage appearance changed the way they see Zhang Linghe and Tian Xiwei together. And somewhere within all that excitement is a simple human desire, the desire to understand a connection that seems special. Perhaps that is why the most memorable part of the moment is not any single gesture but the feeling surrounding it. The venue is loud, yet certain seconds feel strangely quiet. The cameras are everywhere, yet attention becomes focused on two people. The audience knows that public figures rarely have complete privacy, and yet everyone suddenly becomes fascinated by the possibility that something personal has slipped through the carefully controlled world of celebrity appearances. That tension between public image and private emotion is one of the strongest forces behind moments like this. It makes viewers feel as though they are witnessing something that might not happen again. And then comes the question that refuses to disappear: what does confirmation actually mean? If the two stars truly intended to confirm a romantic relationship, an unmistakable statement from either of them would matter far more than any interpretation of body language. Until such a statement exists, the most honest way to describe the moment is as an appearance that sparked enormous speculation and excitement. That does not make the moment less beautiful. In fact, it makes the story more intriguing because it leaves room for uncertainty. Fans can celebrate the chemistry without turning assumptions into facts. They can appreciate the warmth of the interaction while respecting the personal boundaries of the people involved. The emotional power of the scene also comes from how quickly a public moment can become part of popular culture. A few seconds on stage can become thousands of posts, countless comments, reaction videos, edits, discussions, and theories. People who were not even watching the original event may encounter a short clip afterward and immediately become curious. Who are they? What happened? Why is everyone talking about them? That is how a single moment expands beyond the stage. It becomes a shared digital experience, with fans from different places interpreting the same few seconds through their own perspectives. For those who already support Zhang and Tian Xiwei individually, the excitement can feel especially meaningful. Fans have followed their careers, watched their performances, celebrated their successes, and developed admiration for their work. Seeing them together, therefore, creates an additional emotional layer. It becomes less about a rumor and more about the possibility of witnessing two successful performers share an unforgettable moment. Whether their relationship is professional, friendly, or something more private, the respect surrounding their careers should remain at the center of the conversation. There is a certain beauty in not knowing everything. Modern celebrity culture makes people feel as though every detail should be immediately explained. Every photograph is examined, every appearance is analyzed, every smile is given a meaning. But sometimes two people can simply share a meaningful moment without the public knowing the entire story behind it. That mystery can be valuable. It allows viewers to enjoy what they actually saw instead of constructing an entire private life around a few seconds of footage. Zhang and Tian Xiwei are entitled to define their relationship in their own words, in their own time, if they choose to do so. Yet the stage moment remains unforgettable because of the emotions it created. The excitement, the surprise, the disbelief, the laughter, the endless replays, and the feeling that something unusual had happened all combined into an experience fans were unlikely to forget quickly. Whether people interpreted it as confirmation or simply as an exceptionally warm interaction, the impact was real. The internet reacted because people cared. They cared about the performers, about their chemistry, about the possibility of a deeper connection, and about the story they had been following for so long. And perhaps the most fascinating part is what happens after the lights go down. The stage eventually becomes empty. The cameras move away. The crowd disperses. The event continues into the archives of entertainment history. But online, the moment keeps living. Fans continue discussing what they saw. Old clips return to timelines. New interpretations appear. Some people become convinced that the chemistry was undeniable, while others remain careful and wait for direct confirmation. In the middle of all these reactions is a simple truth. No audience can know the private reality of two people better than the people themselves. That is what makes this particular moment so emotionally powerful. It sits at the boundary between what is visible and what remains unknown. We can see the smiles. We can see the stage. We can hear the crowd. We can observe the way Zhang and Tian Xiwei interact in public. But the meaning behind those moments belongs to them. And perhaps respecting that mystery is what makes the story even more compelling. Instead of forcing an answer, we can appreciate the extraordinary chemistry that brought everyone to the edge of their seats and recognize why a few seconds between two stars could create such a huge emotional reaction. So as the images continue circulating and fans continue replaying the unforgettable stage appearance, one question remains suspended in the air. Was this truly the moment Zhang and Tian Xiwei confirmed a relationship, or was it a powerful interaction that fans interpreted as something more? Without a clear, direct confirmation from the two celebrities themselves, the answer should remain open. But one thing is undeniable. The moment captured attention, stirred emotions, and reminded everyone just how powerful a connection between two performers can appear when thousands of people are watching. And perhaps that is why people cannot stop talking about it. Not because every glance must secretly contain a confession, but because there was something about the atmosphere that made people feel something. In an industry built around performances, carefully chosen appearances, and constant public attention, genuine warmth can feel incredibly rare. When audiences sense that warmth, they remember it. They replay it. They talk about it. They wonder about it. They carry it with them long after the stage lights disappear. For Zhang and Tian Xiwei, the most important part of the story may ultimately be whatever they choose to say for themselves. Until then, the stage remains frozen in memory as a moment of intense chemistry, enormous excitement, and unanswered questions. The lights may have faded, the applause may have ended, and the cameras may have moved on, but the emotional echo of that appearance continues. And somewhere between the undeniable excitement of what fans witnessed and the uncertainty of what it truly meant lies the reason this moment has become so fascinating. Sometimes the most powerful stories are not the ones that give us every answer, but the ones that leave us looking at the same moment again and wondering what might have been happening just beyond what the cameras could see.